on him, just trying to get him connected with people, got him into a small group. Something happened about 2 months ago. I saw a shift just change. He showed up and he had his Bible and he's sitting on the front row. And every word that I said, he was like looking for it. He's got a highlighter and a pen. And God got a hold of him.
Yes,
you know?
Yes,
and you can just see it. Like his heart is wide open. Everything around him, he's seeing Jesus in everything, man. And he catches me after service. Dude, your words today, man, I'm telling you, just so powerful, man. You got it. You know, he's still thinking that it's me. You know, you got it, bro. You got it. And he gives me a hug, and he's like hanging on to me, and you just see God breaking all these things off of him. You know, he's a drummer on the worship band. He's in a small group. He's getting baptized in October. That's a story. We can remember how the Lord is great and awesome because of what he did in Paul. You have to find a story. You have to find your Paul, your Joe, your Ann. You find a story that demonstrates how good, great, and awesome God is. It's embodied in skin. And people can see it. Oh, he's sitting right over there. You know? And you have to talk about it. You have to talk about it. So every number has a name. Remember we were measuring it? We got 10 first-time guests. Well, Paul was one of those 10 a couple months ago. So every number has a name and every name has a story. It's your job to tell it. So get out there, talk about it, measure the measurables, talk about it. Nehemiah stood up and he said to the nobles, hey, don't be afraid, remember how great and awesome he is. Third thing we need to do is remind them of why. Remind them, being our church, of why. So we're counting, we're measuring the measurables, we're seeing what areas of the wall need to be addressed. We're talking about it, we're showing them the wins. So Nehemiah would have said, guys, look, we only got this much more to go. Look how much we've already done. Look at what we're doing. These are the wins. Paul, to me, is one of the blocks that have already been laid. I could go to hey guys, let me tell you about Tom. Let me tell you about Rachel. Let me tell you about Joe. Those are the ones that have already been laid. We're going to remind them of the work we have been doing. And then 3, we're going to remind them of why we need to keep working. So Nehemiah said this way, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord who's great and awesome. Fight for your families, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. That's our why. Because guess what? You may not know Paul or care about Paul, but you have somebody in your family that needs Jesus. And if your whole family is saved and needs Jesus, good for you. We're going to pray that you get a burden for somebody else. But I know in my family, I got people who don't know Jesus yet. I got aunts and uncles. I got sister-in-laws. I got extended family. People are far from God. And every time we get together for a function, they're like, hey, how's church going? Oh, that's awesome, man. It's great. God's doing some awesome. Oh, good. That's good. That's really great. You know, let's turn the game up. You don't want nothing to hear. They don't want to hear about it. And so Nehemiah's like, we're not fighting for people you don't know. We're fighting for your family. It's your sons, your daughters, your wives, your homes. That's the why. That's why we're doing what we're... Can I draw you another picture? That's why we're doing what we're doing. A guy named Simon Sinek had this amazing TED Talk, wrote a book about it called Start With Why. Most of us, we start with what? This is way out here. Hey, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to have church. Okay, that's not really that sexy. It's not like, well, catch me. It's not, all right. There's 1,000 churches. There's a gazillion churches. So, like, why would I go to your church? Why another church? What? And then we go by how. Well, man, we're going to sing contemporary songs. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be awesome. We got a little Chris Tomlin in there. Like, he ain't contemporary anymore, by the way. He's gone. And I'm already old.
Showing your age.
How did it happen? Before I knew it, I turned old. Anyway, we're going to sing some contemporary songs. It's a hill song. It's going to be awesome. It's like, well, that's cool. I know another church that does that too. We have to go to why. Why another church? You know what? Let me tell you why. Because a guy named Paul came in. And you know what? My brother was actually like that very same thing. We started our church in 2005. my brother Tim, came in away from God, walked in with like a Jägermeister lager shirt on, just trying to be all rebellious and show us that he wasn't into this church thing. It took him 2 services and God jacked him up. Now he's my worship leader, been doing it ever since, standing on stage, living his life for Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why we do it is because people are lost and they're living their life by what they think they know. They're letting the TV tell them what true life really is all about. And that's garbage. So this is why we do it, because people need Jesus. How we're going to do it? I think we're going to sing some songs that they're going to like. We're going to do a sermon. It's going to be practical. And it just happens to be at a church, you know. Really, this how, we don't have time to really dig into this, is how is not so much about songs and sermons. It's how we want people to know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. That's how we're doing it. It just happens to be on Sunday mornings.
Church of the Highlands. That's
right, Church of the Highlands, ARC stuff. The why is what you really need to get to. When we talk about identity, you need to know who you are and what God's called you to, why you're doing it, and then start from there. And so Nehemiah, he jumped right to it. He said, we're not building the wall. We're not doing it one block by one block. No. We're fighting for our families, for your future, so that in 50 years, Israel will still exist. And it's still there. The wall that he built is still there.
Yes.
I got to go in February. Hey guys, and you're invited to go with us next February if you want to go. Go back to Israel. It's awesome. If you've never been, you gotta go. The wall that he built that we just read about is still standing because he started with why. It's your families. It's your daughter. It's your sons, your husband. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Why connects to the heart. It's their families that need Jesus. It's their sons and daughters that need Jesus. Their wives, their homes that need Jesus. And then last thing, I'll give you number 4. Keep your heart fresh. Your heart fresh. What I'm discovering right now is that this is what I need, where I'm at and what I'm working on. Nehemiah said, remember the Lord. And I think this happens in worship. You and I have to take time and practically spend time worshiping. Because if not, we're going to forget who's in charge. We're going to forget the vision. We are going to forget the why. Worship reminds us of that. There's a great group called River Valley Church in Minnesota. They've sang some songs you may have heard once or twice on an album that just came out recently, late last year. There's a song on it called "The World Needs Jesus," and our band is singing it this next month. And I put it on, and we started our meeting listening to that song this week. And I like fell out of my chair, and I just laid on the carpet and just wept like a baby. And it reminded me of why. And it reminded me of who's really in charge. Like, they don't need me to give them a great sermon. It helps. It really helps. They don't need the band to be in tune. That helps too. They don't need them to sing songs that are relevant. It helps, but they don't need it. They need Jesus.
Yes.
And all the things that we do are just a means to that end. And so worship reminds us of that. Remember, it's the Lord who's great and awesome. You're going to fight. The sword is in your hand, but it's the Lord who's really going to win the battle.
Amen.
Yeah. So worship reminds me of that. It gives me clarity. It reminds me that God can do anything. He can save the unsavable. He can mend the broken and heal the torn. He can move mountains apart, the waters, fight our battles. Nothing's impossible with God. Worship is the place that I'm reminded of that. And I could just go in. He's our only refuge, guys. This thing is hard. Pastoring, leading is hard. There's no manual that's going to make this any easier. It's hard work. And the only refuge that we can find is in Jesus.
Yes.
Worship is the place we do that. There's things that we can do. You need to be counting stuff, measuring stuff, seeing where you're winning, where you're losing. You need to be finding stories, talking about it, telling people why. But if your worship life is lacking, the vision's going to be stale in your own heart.
Amen.
And then it's just going to trickle out from there. And so probably should have started with that one, number one, but it's just a good reminder to landowners. Keep your own heart fresh. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If your heart's stale, everybody else's will be too. Okay, I wanted to allow some time for some Q&A. I got till 20 of? Quarter of? Or I got about 10 minutes. Q&A. What did I spit out there that you guys have a question about? Yes, Amy.
I was thinking about vision, and when you were talking about people, the complaining, and I see something, and we have the kind of a unique opportunity because we work at Life Source Prime. I actually have a lot of functions there, and then we're also doing the church plant, and so I get to see, but in both areas, in the city or whether it's the main campus, I see a lot of people, like you said, they don't get the vision. Like, we're doing a big block party, and some people are like unclear that it's a free block party, but it's for the community. But it's also, of course, the church is invited, and there'll be volunteers there. But they're serving food, and people are just finding out that the food is going to cost them something, and they're complaining about it. And I'm thinking to myself, I got a call yesterday on that note, and then we had a situation. So how do you get people to see, like they think because I give here, I'm going to get something back, and if I don't get something back and we give it to somebody else. I saw it on the west side. We had an activity, and a young man got upset, and I said, we're here to serve, not to be served. The family's taken care of, but we're going to share what we have.
Right.
And it's hard to, I don't know if it's the culture that we live in. It's like about, and I also do events. So tomorrow's a crab feast at church, and last year people were like fighting over chicken and taking stuff home. And it's just like, how do you challenge people to not focus on themselves? And maybe somebody else could speak to that, but.
Okay.
I just wanted to say also, that's a very good question. We also struggle with that same thing. One of the things that we do also, we don't also do outreach, we do also inreach. So today we're giving out tomorrow we're giving 100 and something backpacks.
Right.
All right, and so there are folks in the congregation that need backpacks also. So we're not going to have them also saying, why is it serving? They're putting aside backpacks for themselves. No.
Yes.
So what we do, we say, listen guys, we also do it in reach. So you don't have to worry about what we're giving out.
Yeah.
You're going to be taken care of, those who want, right? So every time we do outreach, we always do in reach.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good strategy. I think it's great.
But I'm just thinking about the mindset. It's not necessarily the fact that they need something, it's the attitude behind, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
How do we, as we're promoting vision, and because of course vision is a lot of times out,
Right.
but how do we get people to see the vision and know that, I guess I think about, when the Church of the Highlands, one of the things I always hear Pastor Chris saying there is, if you get your focus off of yourself, those things are kind of taken care of, but yet some people really do have needs, so how do we balance that?
Yeah. So practically speaking, like in-reach and outreach, I think is a good way to do it.
Right, and we do that, but
Yeah.
it's that entitlement, well, I didn't
Yeah.
get my thing and we're giving out to somebody else, kind of, it's the attitude again, not.
Yeah, and it's the culture that's really
It is,
the
it's
thing that needs to be addressed.
It
And
is,
that takes the longest
yes.
to write. But I think the easiest and most practical thing to do is just connect the dots constantly.
Mm-hmm.
When you're at the event, hey guys, the reason why we're feeding people
Right.
is because we know the quickest way to the heart is through their mouth, and that's where we really want to get to. There's people in this city who don't know Jesus. They're going to show up, and they're going to be scrounging, they're going to be grabbing, and they're going to think they're just trying to grab stuff, and that's okay. But the reason why we're doing this is to love Jesus. And I tell a story. Tell them a story of a Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, last year's Teresa came to this event, and she was here just for a backpack, and you know what? She started coming to church, built a relationship with her. Now she's serving, and just as a constant reminder of the connecting the dots from this. It's not just about the backpack. It's
that's the thing, is trying to communicate that, and people just get so, I don't know, they just are crazy about how they It's like, to me, it's like common sense. As a Christian, that's how we think, but trying to explain that to somebody. And again, at the cookout, this one man was like, well, I want 7 hamburgers. How come I can't have more than 1? And I said, because we're serving the community too. You have your, but we're the family, you know, it's this thing that, okay, we're giving to the church, we're supposed to get. And I'm just, I know it's a matter of prayer. And like you said, I know it's part of culture, but again, continuously trying to find a way, like you said, to the light bulbs come on.
Yeah.
Like your friend,
And
Paul. The light bulbs didn't go on initially, I'm sure, for him in every area.
The how really is a lot about your values, like how you do something. Like Chick-fil-A and KFC both serve chicken, but they have different sets of values.
Right,
You know, you walk into KFC, the employee doesn't even want to be there.
right.
But Chick-fil-A, they got their youngest and brightest out front, like walking to your car
Yeah.
to take your order.
Mm-hmm.
And they've taken a long time to imprint their values into their culture, when you can see the big difference.
Sure.
It's fried chicken. It's
Yeah.
just fried chicken. But the values change between
Mhm.
organizations. And I heard Jeff, I forgot his name, Pastor Squidet, he was a part of the marketing team at Chick-fil-A, and Truett Cathy wanted to get My Pleasure into
Right.
their culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got up at their big yearly meeting and said, you know, when people say thank you, I don't want you to say you're welcome, I want you to say it's my pleasure. And he said, that's the one thing we're working on this year. Everybody cheer, yeah!
Yeah.
And then he would jump into locations and they were just saying, you're welcome.
And he
You're
would,
welcome.
yeah.
And so he went back and next year, hey guys, I want to hit it again, it's not everywhere. 5 years in a row
Wow.
it took him to get My Pleasure into the culture. And now it's everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
my daughter worked there.
Yeah,
Everything is my
They
pleasure.
give you a pack of ketchup,
Yeah,
and
My
you're like, hey,
Pleasure.
thanks, I have My Pleasure. They're brainwashed.
Yes, they are.
But it took Truett Cathy and Chick-fil-A 5 years to get that in a culture. It's gonna take us a
Yes.
while to get our people.
So it's
you know,
just, like you were saying, just being consistent
Wording.
with it and every 30 days trying to just keep at it. And that's just part of.
Just keep hitting it. This event, you're probably just gonna fight it and just like deal with it.
Well, I mean, I'm doing everything in my power to prevent it. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna serve people, make sure nobody's taking it, and try to, but then you've got people that'll get mad, you know?
Yeah.
Well, this is all you can eat, why can't we, you know, that's,
Yeah.
you get those, and it's not everybody again, but it's the ones that suck the
That's
life out
true.
of you when you're doing something that you really is a blessing, and then 2 or 3
Right.
people can just bring it down, and then
Yeah.
they talk amongst them,
Just be
and-
louder than them.
be louder,
Just
and
be
that's the
louder than
thing,
them
yeah.
about the wins.
Okay.
Terry?
I was gonna ask, it's funny you got the arrow pointed to my question. Culture.
Oh,
Do you measure culture? Do you sit down and say, and this is something that happened with us, I love prayer. It's just like a part of my identity and I know it. And I noticed that there was no prayer, or I would call somebody to open the service in prayer and everybody's like, it's like, no, come on. And so one Sunday on this point, like we kind of have points we fight for, so we kind of like a dual team. So prayer, he might fight for something else. Prayer is my thing.
yeah.
And I said, do we really want new people coming in here to this culture where we don't pray? Where it's a weird thing. So, but I had to like, is it worth a measurable to go in and say, what are we doing? What is the soil we're planting the seed in? Or is it just to keep casting?
Natural Church Development, NCD, they have like 8 factors. If I had time, I'll take them up. I got them in here. That speak to the nutrients of the soil. Not all dirt's the same. Miracle Grow has made billions of dollars off this. This pack of dirt has these 10 nutrients in it. It's like nutrient rich or whatever. Israel actually had to stop every 7 years and let the soil
So
replenish.
rest, yeah.
So the nutrients would kind of replenish in it, so it could grow better crops. So it's really a law of nature. So you can track the nutrients of your soil. NCD has 8. It's like
Say it one more time. Because I'll do research. Just tell me where it is.
Natural Church Development.
Mhm.
I'll look for it after we're done. But they're like passionate worship experiences, people being cared for, prayer. There are things like that. Culture is the intangible that you can't see. You can verbally talk about mission, but the culture is what you can't touch. And so if people, Andrea, if people have a spirit of lack,
Yeah.
if they think
Well-
there's never going to be enough,
Right.
that's
Right.
the intangible,
Yeah.
that they'll just keep like, I'm
Yeah.
hoarded,
Right.
hoarded. And then probably tithing stinks in their life too. Because
Right.
they're
I'm
not
sure,
living
yeah,
by-
exactly, that's what I'm saying, the whole
they're-
mentality.
Yeah, they're
is-
not living by, I'm gonna give and God's gonna give back. I'm just gonna let him take care of the rest.
Right.
I don't need to take care of me, he will. Like, so that's an intangible to
Yeah.
touch, tough thing to touch. So NCD does measure that, can measure, yeah.
What do you do when people are divided about the culture of the church?
Oh, great question. Brother Reed has a great answer for that. I'm just kidding. You know, I sit down, I'm learning, like a face-to-face, just one-on-one over coffee does a lot. And sometimes you maybe get to roots, probably not the vision that they're disagreeing on. Most of the time, there's a root hurt somewhere, a wound, that needs to be dug down and got to. And there's a lot of work I think you can do to dig to that and get down to that, but it's okay if somebody has a different vision and wants to go to a different place. But you have to be mean about it and not let the difference of opinion in front of you sway what God has called you to. You be firm and stand firm, and this is what we're doing. Tobiah and Sanballat and those guys, they were trying to get Nehemiah off that vision, come down from the wall. And he's like, I can't come down. The work's too great. Y'all need to go figure something else out. And so you will have people that are divided and want you to kind of come away from it. You stand firm. But before you send them on their way and have a party for them to leave, I think having to sit down face-to-face, really try to get to the bottom of it, and cast vision one-to-one. Find their why. Find their daughter, brother, sister that needs Jesus. If you can connect them to that, that's why we're doing what we're doing, is so that they'll come to see Jesus. I think you'll see a shift. But again, it's not one meeting. It's
Yeah, well, the reason why I asked the question, in my church, we have all-night prayer meeting every last Friday of the month,
okay.
for the 12 months of the year. And when we do that, we bring issues that are happening in the lives of people. We bring the church and different things, all to do with the church and a whole and the people. And we prayed about those requests. God has been doing great things. People get deliverance, from that. But there are people in the church who doesn't agree with that. And when you confront them about it, they want to tell you, well, hey, we don't feel you got to do all of that and things like that. But if God laid something on your heart and you do it and it's working, I mean, we see things happen where it has to be God. People always bring in people, those people who are on board with that, always bring in people to the church to be prayed for. People who are not members, people we don't know, right? Even this Sunday, a young man was brought to church because he said he had some problems and things like that he wanted to be prayed for. And this young lady brought him to church. We prayed for him. The guy got saved this Sunday. And I announced the baptism that is coming up. And he called me, he said he wanted to talk to me in the office. Went in the office and he said, I want to be baptized. Just like that. And these people who does not agree with what we are doing, they to me, it's like they are trying to put a blockade, or they're trying to tear down what God laid on your heart to do. I see so many things happening. There is a young lady who began to come to church about a couple weeks ago, who will be one of the young ladies who will be baptizing. She come to church and she asked for prayer because her husband had left her and gone with another lady. And not only that, the day when she come to church, her husband, in that same week, sent her a letter, or they sent her a letter for divorce. She came to church and she said, I don't want to divorce. I don't want to divorce. And so we prayed for her. We prayed for her and she go to court. The judge tell the man, go home to your family. And didn't grant the divorce. Well, he appealed it. 2 weeks ago, we were in church and we prayed for her again. While we prayed for her, Before the service was over, her husband called her and told her, I'm coming home. She decided, after she see what God did in her life, she decided, no, she's been coming to church for at least 6 weeks now. She decided, Pastor, I want to get baptized. And I'm bringing my husband to you for counsel. Because in that same week, when she went home, the husband come the following day, cut the grass and things like that, and brought some clothes from where he was staying, bring to her, and asked her to wash them for him. And she did all of that.
Yeah.
And she came to me and she said, Pastor, I am bringing my husband to you. I want you to counsel him. About 2 months ago, I dreamt one Wednesday morning, I was going somewhere and I saw 2 young ladies with a little baby girl. And these 2 young ladies, I saw them by the side of the road, and one of them said to me, I want you to come and bless my house. And I wake up out of the dream. Wednesday night, I'm on my way to Waldorf, to Bible study. I receive a call from another sister. So there's a young lady who recently bought a house in Clinton. Could you stop by and bless her house? She wants somebody to bless her house. I said, my God, that's what I dreamt this morning. When I went, the description of the lady I saw in the vision, she had a little baby girl, and her friend is the same people I saw in the vision. I blessed the house and move on to Bible study.
That's awesome.
About 3 weeks ago, she come to church. She gave her life to the Lord, and she ready for baptism. They are military people, and they just came from Hawaii and relocated and come here and just buy a house. So they didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I believe that because of what we are doing, God is doing these things.
Yeah.
These are people that we don't know. These are people that I didn't go out and talk to. They just happened to turn up, or God just happened to show me them in a vision, and the exact thing I saw in the vision actually happened.
Those stories, those testimonies are crucial for keeping the vision in front of people. And keep telling them. If people confront that and want to change what that is, I think sit down with them, find out what they're actually looking for. And if they want to pull you away from seeing those things happen, you bless them and allow them to move on. But for the sake of time, I want to be respectful of it.
So you gotta know who you are. And my experience with the church planters, you'll have people that come in, want you to be who they want you to be. But you gotta know who you are. And when you know who you are, and in the spirit of love, you say to them, thank you, but this is who we are. And if you can't buy into this vision, then I'll be praying that God will bless you when you find somebody that will buy into your vision. The church only has one vision.
Yes.
That's the vision of the pastor. I've been sent by the overseer on one occasion, go and explain that to people. Because they think, well, the pastor's not, in fact, I just recently, well, the pastor's not doing my vision. Well, that's not the way it works. He doesn't do your vision. We do the vision that God has given to our pastors. Like in this region, I told Bishop this week, he said, we've known each other for a long time, but I told him, I said, if I ever get to the point I can't support you, I'm out of here.
Right.
I told my pastor, I went back to Parkway after being there 16 years, and I told my pastor, the day that I can't support your vision for this church, his vision is different from mine, but the day I can't support your vision for this church, I'm gone.
Amen. That's right.
So I've attended a lot of different stuff. You'll never find any better teaching than we've had this morning.
That was excellent. That was excellent.
Ask him on break.
Okay.
That was great.
Let me just say, this is, if you don't get any other nugget, that's worth the whole day.
It
God
is.
bless you.
Amen.
We're going to take about a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll unleash the powerful man of God.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's water.